actually feel like now's the best time, because if you buy good land and you can get good quality A+ land for cheap, because people need the money.
Talking about like buying for 8, selling for 20, buying for 10, selling for 25. Owners of the property have no way to sell their property unless they know how to list on Facebook, which they don't.
Because I do play to the fact that, hey, I could try and connect you with a realtor, but realtors really don't like these properties, and sometimes they charge a minimum of $1,000. If you want to sell it to me.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke, joined by one of our coaches, one of our oldest students, honestly, now, Shelby. Like we were just talking about before we got him, like you're going on 3 years in this business, which is incredible. You're pushing 2 years in terms of doing this full time since you quit your job in just over a year. Welcome to the show, though.
Yeah, thank you for having me on again, Ron. I'm excited.
Again, yep. I don't know when the first time. I know I was at my other house when we recorded the first time. So it was probably that year, 2023, right? Maybe late 2023?
Yeah, sometime in 2023, I think.
Yeah, it was probably right around when you quit that job. I know you had a really big deal right around there that you made like $200,000. What did that deal end up making you?
I think it ended up making closer to 300 net.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. And that was like an interesting little subdivide. And it was across, and I know a lot of people are listening, like, what are they talking about? But Shelby, it was one of your first deals, honestly. I know you had some really early success. Let's just talk about that deal real fast. And we're going to talk a lot about mindset, guys, today, but I wanted to get into Shelby's kind of background a little bit before we get into this. We've done multiple episodes with her that you can get more information. But as far as that first big deal, that got you to quitting your job, and sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, exactly. I was able to quit my job based off of it, and just kind of use that money to fund my own deals, do stuff, and it's been awesome. I was actually doing some math because I've been coaching, I've been speaking with students, and I joined the program in June of 2022, was able to quit my job by August of 2023. So I mean, it's kind of awesome looking back at how quickly things happened, even though it felt like forever in the time frame.
Were you, going back to that, were you like looking to, I'm sure like everyone like wants to quit their job, but you aren't one that like hated their job. Some people come in and they're like, I got to be out of here in 2 months or something like that. You didn't hate your job by any means. It kind of, I don't know if it naturally came or it was a long-term goal. What was your goal when you came in?
Yeah, when I came in, I was actually working at Pinterest, and I really liked my job. But I ended up moving to an influencer agency based in Provo, Utah. And I liked my job there. I was getting paid really good money for what I was doing, but I knew that I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I had figured out that I was pregnant sometime. I think it was like August of 2023, around the same time I quit. And I was like, well, if I'm going to quit, I might as well quit now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. So what, let's go back to like that mindset as far as like when you first got into this business. That might be hard going back 3 years in your head. Like what was your motivation behind doing something outside of working a 9 to 5? What was your motivation at that point?
Yeah, my motivation was my husband at the time was an English teacher, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't know how else to be a stay-at-home mom, other than finding something like some sort of real estate venture was kind of my plan. And I decided I'd go ahead and do that. I went and did like a regular course. I talk a little bit more about this in some of my previous episodes, but I ended up stumbling across you guys in your podcast and just dove in. I was like, if anyone can do it, like these people are making money, so why can't I do it? Like whatever I'm doing, I just need to follow their steps and I'll find a way to make money. Let's just lock down and put my head down and figure this out.
That's awesome. We were talking before we hit record is like, it definitely, like, it feels like a long time ago. I don't know if it feels like 3 years ago, but it's crazy. Like how many episodes we've had come out. This is your third time on the show, everything like that. So goes fast for sure. The funny thing is, Shelby, like when you first got started in this business, the same excuses for people not getting into this business are the same excuses we hear every single day. And then you still have success. There's going to be someone who joined yesterday who's going to be on the podcast 3 years from now. It's just the same thing. But going into like mindset, because you're doing coaching for us now, you're helping out a lot. You've had some good early success with your coaching students. Like obviously you are working with people who have invested but what are kind of the mindsets around those people who are coming in?
Yeah, I'd say that most of the people I've been working with, they're ready to put their head down and work, which I'm excited about. I
Mhm.
feel like they have a very similar mentality to what I had, where it's like, okay, I've seen this, I'm bought in, like I believe that it can work. I just need someone to help me not make mistakes. Like I know that mistakes are going to happen. I know that they're kind of inevitable, but in the sense of, can you just like guide me through this? Can you be my phone a friend? Like, please just if I have a question, can I just give you a quick Discord message and you can help me out, or we can hop on a quick call. And it's been really awesome to kind of relive the beginning phases of starting this business again through my coaching students.
It's exciting when you first get started in something and there's so much optimism before like stuff hits the fan because and you
Yeah.
had a ton of early success in this business, but then you had hurdles after that, which I
Yeah.
know we talked about deeply in other episodes. But yeah, it's just like it's a lot of optimism. Do you, as someone who's talking to them, like, all right, let's like weigh our let's calm down with our expectations, let's just get to work and kind of make things happen. Like, what's kind of your, or just like double down on the optimism for them?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a combination of both because I do think that this business, you get out of it what you put in. So if you're willing to put in a ton of time and you're willing to do the work and hire someone to help you through this process, you're going to get deals. Like it is what you put into it. So if
Hmm.
you're willing to put in that time and put in that energy, you will get deals. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of when, and it might take a little bit of refining before we get to that point. But I feel like it's setting expectations in the sense of like there are going to be tough times, there are going to be hurdles, but let's just change those roadblocks into speed bumps and keep moving forward.
Hmm. And yeah, I mean, there's always going to be hurdles in this business. And when you came in 3 years ago, they were different
Yeah.
than what they were today. There's things that make the business easier as well. Softwares, the land port, stuff like that. There's
Yeah.
things that like imagine. Like I couldn't imagine when I started this business, like having a software like that. And now, like, yeah, there's competition. There's all this stuff. There's always a reason not to get started. What
Yeah.
was because the market, the economy are reasons people always don't get started. I believe when you started 3 years ago, the real estate market was probably pretty hot still, correct?
Yeah,
Just coming
it
off of
was
COVID.
hard to acquire, super easy to sell. I know
I,
it's like flip-flopped a little, I'd say.
uh-huh. I remember selling some of the worst pieces of land so fast 3 years ago. It was like you could sell anything
Mhm.
in the snap of a finger, but acquisitions are more difficult. Have you
Yeah.
seen that recently as far as you kind of have a flip flop? Now people want to make an excuse the economy is too slow or it's on a downturn, but it is easier to acquire. Have you seen any of that yet? Or like, what are your thoughts on that as a whole?
Yeah, I've seen a ton of that, and I actually feel like now's the best time. I really enjoy this time period because if you buy good land and you can get good quality A plus land for cheap because people need the money.
Mm,
It's just with everything, like if you're picking a state or a county, you're gonna have pros and cons to every county, and you're gonna have pros and cons to every cycle that we're in the economy. But I think the pro to this cycle is it's really easy to acquire A plus land, and when you have A plus land and you make some slight improvements, like you've mentioned on, I think, an episode earlier this week, uh, your land will still sell pretty quick and it
mhm.
won't be a hard time.
Yeah, if you put your time and effort into like buying good land, like the buying isn't that difficult. Like if you have funders behind you, if you have partners behind you, I'm never I'm I'm very optimistic about this business. Obviously, that's why
Yeah.
I've been in it so long. But there's so many other people who are the same. There's so many people who are coming in and doing so well so fast. Like there's no reason not to be optimistic. I think, and I talked about that last week. I think on an episode of like a bad market
Mhm.
and it makes it so much easier to acquire in a bad market. We are
Yeah.
offering cash within 14 days, 21 days, and it just makes it a really easy time to acquire, in my opinion. I think some of the gaps might be just the knowledge behind that. I think some people come in and think it's going to be easy. It's not a word that I like to
Yeah.
use. It's not the most difficult thing in the world doing land flipping, but some people come in and expect to get a deal in like 2 seconds, right?
Yeah, yeah, I feel like they do. And I mean, I did my first time, but then I went 6 months where I didn't get a single deal. And that's when I was like, okay, I must be doing something wrong. I'm going to hire Dan and Ron to coach me
Yeah.
on this. And so I feel like that's a big reason why I want to coach is because I had your help when I was starting out and I made some of those mistakes. I'm sure you remember my pricing was like horrible and I was not the best salesperson,
Mm-mm.
but I
You
really
weren't.
tried. Yeah, I mean, I get it. But I really tried to lean into that. And instead of saying, I'm not a salesperson, this business isn't for me, I've said, what can I do to make myself a better salesperson? Because this business, I think, fits me and my lifestyle and what I want to do really well.
Mm-hmm. You and that's the thing. Like you weren't the best sales. Similar to our brother Mike, who I know you've talked to
Yeah.
before. Like he definitely, and he's very open about it. Like he invested a lot of time and effort into learning how to become a better salesperson. Because when you get on the phone with these sellers, like yeah, you got to negotiate, you got to be comfortable with difficult conversations, and those help you grow for sure. And you're the same. Like you probably came in as a C minus salesperson. Are you going to become an A plus salesperson? Probably not. But you can certainly get to B plus and A minus salesperson. And I think that's where you've gotten to, and that is so beneficial in your business. Can you talk about like the mindset behind that growth? Because you touched on it there a little bit, but just being able to like bring your weaknesses, make them a little stronger.
Yeah, I think that a huge thing is acknowledging that it's a weakness and something you need help on.
Hmm.
And then once you do that, just like surrounding yourself with people who are good at it. Like with sales, I've recently started listening to Ajay, and he does a ton of sales stuff. It's all like basically for free on Instagram, and I think he has a school page too. But I've started triple dialing like he recommends. Who would have thought 3 years
Hmm.
ago that I'd be triple dialing? But I triple dial people, and I thought that it would be the most awkward thing when they'd answer the phone. It turns out it saves me so much time because I'm able to reach people and I don't have to keep following up with all these people. It saves me a ton of time. I just act natural, like I'm supposed to be there, and that they're happy to hear from me. And I've been getting deals left and right. I've even negotiated down a seller earlier, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, told me they wanted $60,000 for a property and that price was firm. I got him down to $6,000.
From
Like
what?
from $60,000 to $6,000.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. I just told him, I was like, listen, these are the problems. And I feel like it comes with confidence
Yeah.
and being in the business for a long time and thinking through the lens of a buyer. That's like what I think about is what questions are people going to have when I go to sell this property? And I just use those same questions because they're what they're going to get if they list on the market. And I say, here's the thing. And if you want money, I can go ahead and do money. Or if you want me to list it for you and you don't have to deal with a realtor, I could do it, but it would take like 120 days. And what option do you prefer? And 9 times out of 10, they tell me that they want a quick cash close.
Hmm. That's wild because, I mean, 60 to 6 is insane. I'm sure he was just kind of shooting some crazy number at first, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think knowing your product, like knowing, like, yeah, it's not a product you're selling. You're trying to sell the ability to buy someone's land, but understanding the product, understand had the knowledge behind it just leads to confidence on the phone. And like, I think your ability to know what it's going to sell for on the back end just makes it, you have so much more conviction in your voice because yeah, that's probably part of your issue when you first started was just confidence on the phone for sure. But part of it
Yeah.
was like the knowledge, like as you kind of grow the knowledge around the product, is there any way to like expedite that in terms of like you're getting a phone call in and a seller's on the phone trying to negotiate with you, you're looking at their land for someone new, like what can they do to improve that ability, or is it just a time thing?
Yeah, I think that hiring a coach is a huge way to help you gain that. I mean, it's not gonna do everything for you though, because your coach isn't gonna answer your phone call.
Yep.
But you can review your phone call with your coach. You can talk about, hey, here's what stumbling blocks I ran into. You can listen to a few sales training. I mean, YouTube's free. It will take you longer than if you hire a coach or someone who's experienced, but definitely doable. Um, I also think that a lot of it will come with reps. So if you want to get those reps in, send out some text messages, make some cold calls, do something a little bit uncomfortable just to get those reps in so that when you get those mail leads that are a little bit more qualified, you feel really confident on the phone.
I love that. I love the like forcing reps. And Justin Bostic, when we had him on, I've had him on two times in person. And the first time, that's what he said. He's like, I didn't feel confident in sales, so I started making sales calls, cold calling sellers to try to buy their land. He even said, like on the podcast, he's like, I didn't know if I was going to buy anything. He never ended up did buying anything. He never ended up buying anything from that. But he's like, just the reps that he got, he got to expedite his growth in sales just by making uncomfortable phone calls. So I think that's 100. I think you can get deals from cold calling. So don't go into cold calling thinking you can't get deals, but I think you can get deals. And then it also like will expedite. And it'll kind of you'll kind of figure out, record the phone calls. You'll figure out like, okay, I'm really weak at this part. This sounded like crap. And then you can learn from all those things. But that's a really good point. Just getting reps, and it's forced reps that might take you 6 or 12 months to get with mail, right?
Yeah, mailer, it takes forever, but text, you just send a couple, your response rate's a little bit higher, the leads aren't as qualified, but I mean, you get those reps in and you feel more confident when you have a qualified lead come in through mail.
Ever wondered how land investing can be the fastest path to financial freedom? I break it all down in my new book, One Lot at a Time. I'll show you exactly how to find, buy, and flip land for huge profits without dealing with houses, tenants, or any crazy renovations. It's simple. This is the book that I wish I had when I first started. If you're ready to take control of your financial future, grab a copy now. One Lot at a Time by Daniel Apke. Find it at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Yeah. What does your business look like right now, Shelby? We talked a little bit. You just got, I know you started implementing texting here recently. What does your business currently look like?
Yeah, right now it's just me and a VA, so we're busy doing stuff. She does a lot of stuff for me. We have a set schedule for her, where she like pulls the records and gets my mailers ready to go. She also sends the text. She does a lot of stuff. She's honestly awesome to have on the team. And then I do most of the sales calls. That's kind of moved in to be my role. And like I said, the reps, I was forced into this because me and my business partner decided to split ways. And I've had to do a lot of reps. And it turns out like once you get some reps in, you feel really confident, especially when you have that back end knowledge. I think sales was something I was really scared to take on, but now that I've done it, I feel really pumped about it. And it kind of rejuvenates me or gets me pumped for the next little bit of business.
Nice. And you're able to do this all. It's still stay-at-home mom, right?
Yeah, still stay at home mom. I even have so much free time I took on coaching.
Yes, so you're coaching people, you're flipping land, taking care
Yeah.
of your daughter. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Let's talk. So you and your business partner obviously made a lot of money together. Talk
Yeah.
about that, and just as kind of sometimes it's just natural, and it's like, okay, this isn't different visions. Like visions when you
Yeah.
first start might be one thing, and then visions as you grow, like they might split apart. Is that kind of the case there?
Yeah, that's totally the case. Like, no hard feelings. He's still my brother-in-law, so we have to get along. But,
See him at
um,
Easter on Sunday.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna see him. So, no, but it really just boiled down to the fact of I wanted to take this business to the next level because this is my main source of income. This is what I do to make money, and I wanted to get us to a different point. And for Chase, he's great, but it was more like a passive thing to do on the side for him. So that's really just where our paths kind of like we met at this head, and I said, "What do you want to do about it?" And he's like, "I'll just take a step away. I know it will be hard, but I think that for where I'm at right now, it's best for you and me if we just split ways for now."
So is this your first employee that you've had in terms of this VA? How long have they been with you?
Yeah, she's been with us for almost 6 months.
Okay.
Chase and I both hired her, and she's been working together. And we also had Chase's brother on board doing some pricing, but now my VA does most of that. So,
Nice. That's yeah, I mean it sounds like it's a natural like partnerships end at some point for sure.
yeah.
And sounds like I'm excited to see what you can do in this business by yourself because I think you have time right now, which is exciting. How much time, energy, effort how much time are you putting into your actual land flipping business per day?
Yeah, I'd say that I put like an hour a day, maybe, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes less. I mean, it really just depends on the week. It's really not too demanding, which is why I said that I could take on coaching, especially for the kind of life that I want to live. I know a lot of people want to grind and they want to do great and build a super big business, but for me, it's more I just want to make enough money to where I don't have to work a 9 to 5 and can have that free time with my daughter. So I don't want to spend more time away from my daughter trying to build a huge business.
There's a lot of people who can connect with that. I think in this day and age, especially, like there's a lot of people like just give me some more time. Like their freedom is their time, and like they're not trying to build a 8-figure a year business or anything like that. Like let me sustain a decently free life and spend time with a family, and, and that's what life is about at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Is spending time with those people. But an hour a day, I think it's for those listening, Shelby, because we can like 3 years of an experience has probably dumbed down 4 hours into 1 hour a day. Like you would not, if you're a month into this business, whatever, I don't know what exactly you're doing right now every day for an hour, but I
Yeah.
know it would take more than an hour a few years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely would have. Like now I have a VA taking on a lot of the grunt work. I have a lot of Zapier automations built out to where really all I have to do is log on, make calls, follow up with people, follow up with the title company. I even have my VA reach out to the county and zoning, so I
Mhm.
don't really have to do a ton anymore.
Wow. So, well, so they're making the phone calls still.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you in your business? Do you have any like, I know that your big deal was a subdivide deal. Are you targeting anything different in terms of those different strategies? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so I kind of have two major buckets that I target right now, and a third that I'd like to start targeting. But I target these smaller properties, probably acres 1 to 3, because no other investors really target them. And sometimes I've been burned on them, I'm not gonna lie, because they're such small properties, it's really hard to know what the market value is, and realtors don't want to represent it. But my philosophy there is I just get it for a price so cheap that I can't lose money. Like I
Hmm.
know I'll at least break even and I kind of take the risk. And sometimes I've bought for 9 and sold for 37. And other times I've bought for 1,000 and sold for 2.6.
Yeah.
So you never really know, I guess, with those ones. But they're kind of fun and I deploy my own capital on those ones. And then I do a lot of larger tract properties that have potential for subdivide. And if subdivide's not possible, then I make them a flip.
Okay. Have you been doing any double closes with any of those bigger ones?
I haven't with the bigger ones. I've done a few, surprisingly, with the small ones, just because sometimes they're so easy to sell on Facebook. I
Mm.
just do a double close and spend like, I don't know, 30 minutes drafting a Facebook post and then make 1,000 or 2,000 bucks. But yeah.
When Daniel and I talked, I don't know if it was, I don't know, probably a few months ago. I don't know. But when we were talking about like the most common niche or most profitable niches, like one that jumped out to me was like smaller property deals. And I'm not
Hmm.
talking about infill, like guys. I'm talking about like buying for 8, selling for 20, buying for 10, selling for 25. And the reason being is the sellers, the owners of the property have no way to sell their property
Yeah.
unless they know how to list on Facebook, which they don't.
Yeah, they
Um,
don't.
because realtors aren't touching those properties, and like I like that a lot. So that's done pretty well for you, huh?
Yeah, it's done great. I really enjoy it and I can make money quick. Like I just had one that I got through texting. I purchased it for I was under contract for 10,000. After I had someone walk the property, there were a few things that it was like there was a little bit of trash and it was kind of wet. But I looked at the comps and I was like, "Oh, I might have this a little bit high." So I negotiated down to 7,000 and I was under contract in 1 day for 16,000. So I
Not a
mean, it's
bad
possible.
24
I
hours.
just like these. I like
Yeah.
these properties. They're easy to sell if you find the right property. I don't feel like infill lots sell very quick, and even though all utilities are there, I feel like it does a little bit better if it's rural
Hmm.
and you can put mobiles on it. But if you
Yeah,
can't do those two things,
mobile home friendly, I think is huge for those. Stay out of those
yeah,
HOAs with those. And it's not like you can't make money on those.
hmm,
But as far as like that's easy money. It's just like buy for, and it is pretty predictable in terms of price. Do you get
yeah.
perk tests or anything with those sub 3 acre properties, or what's your strategy in terms of to reduce risk? You said you just try to buy as cheap as possible.
Yeah, I just try to buy as cheap as possible for the most part because I do play to the fact that, hey, I could try and connect you with a realtor, but realtors really don't like these properties, and sometimes they charge a minimum of $1,000. Like, if you want to sell it to me, and I'll get you cash in 2 weeks. I really try to play on that angle first, but if I am worried about a property, I'll at least check with the county to see what the process of getting a perk test looks like. And if it takes too long or it's like half the price of the property, I just risk it and list it for super cheap to where I get in a bidding war and nobody wants any contingencies and sell it that way.
I like that. I like how that's working out because I think there are a lot of opportunities, and there are millions of these properties throughout the
Yeah.
country, like millions and millions of rural, out of city limits, out of neighborhoods that can be flipped really, really fast.
Yeah.
Um, I had a follow up to that, but now I forget exactly what I was talking about. So perk test, you go to the county and make sure. Um, and you guys we can do this. You can do this with bigger properties as well. But oh, that's what I was going to ask is your marketing strategy for those smaller properties, because obviously mail is not a cheap marketing strategy. Are you mainly doing texting for the cheaper ones, or is it just both, or what does that look like?
So I used to send out mail, and I had my mailer specifically state like, "Hey, I know realtors don't want to touch these properties." Like, it was a very tailored
I like that.
message to someone who's looking to sell 1 to 3 acres. Now I just kind of shoot a text, and if I have a good home run deal or something like that, I might send out a mailer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I like. I think you'll get a really, really good ROI on that, and especially with your ability to like uh, evaluate the properties fast when the sellers come back, and that's probably the biggest upside for it. Because that text message property, like how fast was that whole process from when you first talked to the seller?
Oh, it was probably a month. I don't
Wow.
know. I could look in my
So
CRM,
when
but
you
it was
sold on the
not a
back
long
end.
time.
And a lot of times, like it's all cash buyers for the most part. Like we're not
Yeah.
getting loans. These people try to shoot mobile home loans or like mobile home package loans, land loans. It's like, yeah, we're not doing that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely huge. Anything else you're seeing in the market, Shelby? You talked a little bit about like just you talked a little bit about the recession, everything like that. I know we touched on that. Anything else you're kind of seeing from your coaching students, from your business overall?
Uh, Overall, I'm just seeing like coaching students coming in ready to be eager, and something that I guess I've seen that I was kind of a little hesitant the first time around, but now I feel like I'm starting all over, is deal funding. And deal funding has come a long way since 3 years ago when I first started. I honestly am a huge proponent for it. Like, just save your money for your marketing and use a deal funder, and maybe you'll feel a little bit more comfortable to pay yourself sooner. Maybe
Yeah.
you'll be able to do some of these things faster than 3 years ago when it was insane to get deal funding. And if you did, I totally think it's worth it to pay or work with a deal funder who you maybe do a JV split with for the first few times to really gain all that knowledge and experience if you can. But also, there's cheap money out there too now.
Yeah.
So lots of pros and cons.
It's a balance
Lots of
for sure.
pros.
And I talk to people all the time where like and then I look at their books. I'm like, you have paid deal funders way too much money. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this was great for the first two times. You learned a lot.
Mhm.
But now it's just like they are making a lot of money on your deals for being having no actual work to do. It's just some money. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's a balance for sure. And some deals call for like, okay, I need to get a deal funder opposed to hard money if it's a
Yeah.
little more risky, stuff like that. But that's a really good point, and I think it has come a long way. There's a lot more people looking to invest in land deals for sure overall. But those first couple deals, guys, like Shelby's saying, getting a not specialized, but getting someone with some land experience who has done this is very valuable because they are going to be able to answer questions for you. They're going to be able to do a lot for you that just a money person wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's totally worth the profit percentage you pay to get that knowledge and see how somebody walks a deal from start to finish.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point, and I appreciate you coming on here, Shelby. This was really good. You've come a long way. It's been 3+ years. You've gone through a lot in terms of I mean, your biggest thing is I always look back at like even when I first started this business, like looking back at like decisions that could have changed trajectory, like you could have easily quit when you had a 6 months string of no deals. Like that is not an easy thing. And then you all of a sudden got a $300,000 deal. You look back like, oh, that shit doesn't matter. Like all that marketing that I spent on all that, like nothing else matters at that point. You just made 300 grand on a deal. But I think a lot of times people don't look back and like, wow, it's crazy when you actually look back at that hurdle that you overcame, because 95% of people would have quit and said this doesn't work at that point.
Yeah. And you never know when you're going to get a deal that will net you 6 figures. Or, yeah, is that right? $100,000.
Yeah, that's 6 figures.
Yeah,
That's
6
multiple
figures.
6 figures. Yeah.
Yeah, you can net that so easily, and it could be one deal that makes up for your whole year of marketing spend. I have one deal right now that I'm going to net 6 figures on, and I'm looking forward to that. But I mean, they just take more time,
Hmm.
and they're not as constant as the small deals, which is why I like to fill my pipeline with the small deals, target the big ones, and just be happy when I get them.
Wait, we got to talk about this 6 figure deal. Now we gotta keep talking now for a second. Hold on. So tell me about this 6 figure deal that you have. Did you buy it already?
No, I'm under title right now, but it's to be closed sometime within the next week or two. So
Nice.
soon,
Subdivide
I
or
hope.
just a buy and resell?
It's actually a buy and resell. I wanted to do a subdivide, but due to the way that the flood zone is and everything like that, it just wouldn't make sense. It'd almost be lessening the value if I subdivided it. So we're just going to go ahead and do a regular flip on this one, and I think it'll be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean,
Was that mail or text?
it was mail actually, and it
Okay.
was a blind offer. She just signed it and sent it back. I had some concerns when I initially viewed the property, but I called the seller. I talked to her, got to know why she wanted to sell the property, what her plans were, where she was kind of sitting. I thought that it was being farmed, and it was, but the lease could end. I feel like with these larger properties, you always have
It's always
some of
something.
those things you have to work out.
Hmm.
But yeah, it just ended up working out. She wanted to sell. I was able to get a deal funder for this deal in particular. And hopefully we'll close sometime in the next 2 weeks, I hope. We're waiting for cattle to get off, and then we should be good.
One of our first deals, we had their horse on our property.
Oh, wow.
And we bought the property without like doing anything. So we just bought the property like, shit, there's horse on our property. And it was the neighbors next door, their horse, and it was not easy to get them to move their animals because they were just using our land,
Yeah.
honestly. But yeah, there's always something that happens with these deals. But congrats on that.
Yeah.
Shelby, it's incredible where you've come from. We're proud of you. I'm excited to see all your students' success, everything like that, as you go into this coaching phase. Yeah, guys, if you guys want to reach out to Shelby, she's on Discord. If you guys want to schedule a consultation with us, talk about having Shelby as a coach, schedule a consultation. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.